Good morning. For those who I haven't met, I'm Richard Bain, Mayor of Pepper Pike. It's good to see you this morning. Thanks for coming out on a little cloudy Saturday morning. This is the third of 3 town halls that were arranged for you to provide comments or ask questions of the council members who are here this morning. The rules of order here, because this matter's already been placed on the ballot, the city officials are not able to advocate up or down for this. So please understand it. There are times I know you might want a more robust type of statement from the officials sitting up here, but we are restricted because of the position of this already on the ballot. Your questions and comments obviously are very welcome. If unfortunately, because it's on the ballot, the language is going to be the same, but we're still very interested in what your questions and comments are. And don't let that discourage you from expressing yourselves. With that, this is Tony Gentile, Melanie Weltman, Scott Newell. They're the 3 councilmen here this morning. Just as a matter of interest, who here has not been to one of our first 2 town halls? Oh, quite a few actually. Okay, well that's good to hear. That's an interesting thing as we're evaluating in the for the future. How many of these do we continue to have? Was it because it's on a Saturday as opposed to a weeknight that you're now able to be here? Or did you just decide to defer until the Saturday morning? Who just deferred?
I deferred for Saturday. I couldn't make it for the week.
You preferred the Saturday. Okay. All right. That's very good information to know. I'm going to ask my wife to please hand me my hearing aids. Thank you. And Mr. Gentile wants to say good morning to you, and then we'll kick off. We have a podium there. Just take your turn stepping up to the microphone, and we'll get underway.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome to the 3rd Town Hall meeting to inform Pepper Pike residents about the upcoming ballot issue, number 17, on May 6, 2025, regarding revisions to the Pepper Pike Charter. Please look at the handout package you should have received when you arrived. It contains an executive summary of the Commission's recommendations, a listing of the recommended changes on 2 pages, and the full Commission report. If you haven't already done so, please sign the sign-in sheet. This is voluntary and not required. You don't have to sign it if you don't care to. There is 1 copy at each table. As a reminder, good governance requires that any organization periodically review the rules by which it operates. This is the reason that the Charter Review Commission was established. In this meeting, your elected officials hope that you will be able to make comments about the proposed revisions to the Charter and ask questions about those proposed changes. The Mayor and Council, at its last meeting, decided that for the maximum number of residents to be heard on both sides of the issue, we should limit the length of resident comments to 5 minutes. If you have already spoken, please wait till all those who want to speak have had the chance to do so and make their views known or ask their questions. Comments will be timed, and we will give a heads up when you have spoken for 4 minutes. With that, let's hear from the residents.
Hi, Peggy Blakeslee, North Deer Creek Lane, 55 years on North Deer Creek Lane. I just have a couple comments. First, I want to thank. This is work? No. No. All right. First, I want to thank the council and the mayor for choosing 9 distinguished members from our city of Pepper Pike to review this charter. And I also have just 2 questions. I want to ask the mayor why he is so against this new charter. And I also want to say why there are some names on the list for voting no on the charter for people that did not permit their name to be on the list. For instance, my good friend Jean Seaton is pretty upset. Her name's on the list. She wasn't asked, and I'm not sure if there's other members here, names on the list with the same situation. But anyway, I just would like to know why the mayor is so against all the work that the committee put together and the council and yourself chose the members, and I would like to hear why you're so against it.
Thank you, Peggy. I appreciate your question very much. I'm going to try to say this in a neutral way. I can't advocate why my feelings may be what they are, but I can explain, gee, it's kind of hard in this situation. I'm honestly trying to think how I can answer your question without appearing to be advocating for the opposition to this. You've stated that I'm against it. I'm actually reluctant to even say that here. When we're not on this platform, I'm happy to share with you or anyone else in this room what my feelings are about this. There was a process that was engaged in, obviously, by the council and the Charter Commission. The mayor did not have an independent appointment to the commission. I think that's fair to say. There were people who were voted upon. I think that's fair to say. I don't think I can, in fairness and in respect of the advice we've given by our law director, that we're not to advocate here. And I think to express my feelings that I am either in favor or against this on this platform, I just don't think I can do that, Peggy, and I apologize. I'm not trying to avoid the question. I very much would like to engage about my feelings regarding this. This is not the platform I can do it on, and I apologize to everyone about that, but I think that's the way it is. So thank you for your question.
I just do know that you've gone to people's homes and asked for their vote no, and have asked for money for your cause, and I just was wondering why you're so against it, that's all.
And I completely understand your inquiry. I really do. And I'm not going to sit here and dispute your reciting, what outside of this forum, what I have maybe personally done or not. But again, I just can't do it in this forum because that's the rules. And I'm just going to have to be respectful of the advice of our law director. So I'm sorry. So far as Ms. Seaton,
Yes.
my understanding is that I did not personally talk to Jean.
I'm sorry.
I did not personally speak to Jean. My understanding is the people who have organized to oppose this did speak to Jean. So I don't know what information she's giving you, but I believe she did have a conversation with someone. That's all.
No, that's not correct. I just saw her the other day, and she
All
was
right, well,
very
I don't know. I've never spoken to Jean about this,
Okay.
so I can't really comment on that.
But if she's one person that's very upset her name's on here, I'm just wondering if
Well, that's something that either you and the people who promoted the name and Jean Seaton herself have to speak to. I believe that the person who spoke to her had a high degree of confidence, and that's all. I don't know anything more about that.
Okay, I'm just going by what she told me. All right, thank you.
And, Mrs. Blakeslee, I want to tell you, I do appreciate and understand how you feel about us responding. It's been a challenge. I know in other forums, for the Walkability Forum, we had a different guidance from our same law director about how we could respond, and it's a challenge and interesting to me now that we can't, but that's what we've been told.
So is this law director on one of the sides or something?
No, no, the law director has no side. The law director simply provides legal advice.
All right.
Is there someone else? Yep. I mean, to the podium. That's what I
I
mean.
didn't want to add more to something I know nothing about. Hi, my name's Fred Wentz, Pepper Pike resident, obviously, because it'd be weird to be here if I wasn't. I think everyone agrees the charter is a pretty important legal document, and I think it's important to get it right. So I have just some specific questions about specific things in the document. So section 1, names of boundaries. One sentence was deleted, which prevents the council from changing the boundaries of Pepper Pike because it wasn't consistent with state law. It's pretty clear that language in there was not consistent with state law, and I would have wanted my commission to say the intent is good. So what language could be put in that is consistent with state law? But instead, they just deleted that without any discussion as to why it's in there in the first place. So sections 31A, 401A, 72, which is qualifications, mayor qualifications, and vacancies. There's no mention of conflicts of interest. The conflict of interest can cause significant harm to cities and residents. In section 7.2, which is vacancies, there was a slight mention and restriction on conflict of interest, but that was removed by the new charter. Section 3.2.8, president of council. You should have a president of council if you want a president of council. I don't care, but I'm for that. However, the powers of the president should be limited to items involving running the council. The new charter states, ... and I quote, and shall have such other powers and duties as established by ordinance. I'm actually not for giving a member of council any kind of power they want by ordinance without a vote of the voters. Powers should be listed and limited by the charters, protective of the residents. Section 3.9 and 4.8, which was removal. If council members recommend removal of a member, then those same members should not be the final judge and jury. That's not impartial at all. There are Ohio Revised Code laws to deal with this. The council should have no ability beyond the normal recall procedure to remove a mayor. The director of law mentioned this very thing and recommended options for emergency impartial judicial hearing and an immediate temporary restraining order against the mayor being the superior method of handling an out-of-control mayor. Section 4.6, succession. The mayor has no vote at council meetings. That makes sense. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I think you shouldn't vote at council meetings. That's my thought. However, if something happens to the mayor, the president of council is elevated to acting mayor while retaining the role of president of council with a vote in council. The charter should prevent any path for any length of time that would allow one individual to directly control the executive branch, the limited judicial powers, and the legislative branch. That's not a good thing. General provisions. And I quote, the city shall have a law department, a finance department, a service department, a police department, a city planning commission, and a civil service commission, provided, however, that the council may, by ordinance, establish additional departments and commissions or divisions thereof, and may separate, divide, combine, or abolish any department, division, or commission. Why would the council want the power to dissolve the police, fire, and service department at any time? That shouldn't be in there. Sections 5.2 and 5.4, removal of the mayor's staff. This is a little subjective. These sections allow the council to arbitrarily remove members of the administrative executive branch without consulting the mayor at all. The subjective part is no matter how many dotted line reports are drawn in an org chart, people work for and report to the people that can let them go. And the council can let them go. So this might result in all the mayor's staff actually reporting to 7 different members of council having to do what 7 different people telling to do, which could be different. This is a well-documented bad business practice. City Planning Commission. I don't have a lot of comments there, but all the external guidance has the mayor, city manager, or other chief executive officer of the government on the City Planning Commission. I couldn't find no reason to remove them. Salaries and bonds, section 6. This section restricts trip reimbursements to when they're in interest of the city. Makes complete sense. However, it does not restrict other reimbursements to be within the interest of the city. I think all reimbursements should be within the interest of the city. I think it's just an error. I'm ahead of schedule. In summary, a lot of coffee, I'm shaking it. In summary, the charter is simply not near completion. I generally support making revisions to a charter, but it's got to be complete.
4 minutes.
In a bad charter that's incomplete, I think it's worse than having no charter at all. The commission itself, during their last meeting, listed those items that need to be completed. The items in the list have dependencies on items in the charter. The items in the list that aren't completed are dependent on have dependencies on the ones that are actually in there. So it's not complete, and I think that's a problem. Some critical examples are the Zoning Board of Appeals and the conflict of interest sections. The commission clearly states those are not complete. I think it's been rushed, and I think we need another year with real two-way public communication engagement. Posting on a website, sending out mailers is a start, but it's clearly called out by the National Civic League as not being acceptable public engagement. It's got to be two-way. The commission itself indicated there was very little public engagement. Now, this might be a little administrative issue, but ordinance 2025-01 states, and I quote, that this ordinance is declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of public peace, health, and safety of the city and its inhabitants. And, in addition to, for the further reason that the ordinance must be immediately effective in order to
5
make
minutes.
necessary arrangements. What's the immediate threat? That's,
Okay.
so thank you.
Thank you for coming this morning. As stated, we're being fairly limited in what we can talk about in this forum.
Right.
But I would be happy to talk on the phone or meet you for coffee. I think any of us would, Mr. Gentile would.
Oh,
because
that'd be great.
I think some of these things would be, some of them are more of a conversation, some of them are easier ones that we could talk about. So just a thought.
No, that'd be great. I welcome it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
I agree.
I'm Bill Melsop.
Into the microphone, please.
I'm Bill Melsop. I live at 31650 Trillium Trail. I've been a resident of Pepper Pike for 43 years, and I've been on the Planning Commission for 12 years. I'm on the Planning Commission because Mayor Bain asked me to, and my experience with the mayor is he's been very fair and even-handed in all the issues I've been involved with the city. He has dealt with some very significant issues in the planning of the city, including the issue of a proposed Panera restaurant on the Circle, and he navigated that proposal to the extent that the city was not sued for barring that, and that piece of land at the Circle turned into Morgan Park, which I think was a big boon for the city. Another very large issue was the proposal to turn the property of the the 80 acres of the school property. There was a proposal to make a housing and commercial development similar to Beach Brook, on the Beach Brook property, similar to Pinecrest. And he successfully navigated that proposal, and so the city was not sued. And I think the result has been a good outcome. The third significant city planning issue had to do with the sisters of Ursuline proposing more housing on their property. And it was a non-conforming use, and he successfully navigated the solution to that situation with a very good outcome for the sisters and for the city. To take away the mayor's power of running the City and Planning Commission and turning it over to the council, I think is a very large error in the proposed change to the charter. And finally, city council members are part-time employees of the city. The mayor is a full-time employee of the city. And to have these part-time people choose a president who will be superior to the mayor is a very bad idea. And that's why I'm against issue 17. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Good morning. My name's Daralynn Constant. And it may be a moot point because charters may vary drastically from township to township, city to city. But I'm curious if, since we have not updated ours since '66, have other neighboring townships, Chagrin Falls, Moreland Hills, others, updated theirs in more recent years to any of the issues that are similar to what is on our proposed charter? And have we talked to them? What have we learned from them about their experiences with that? Thank you.
Again, ma'am, I think that we can't really advocate, so I don't want to risk that, but either of us or the mayor would be happy to discuss that with you if you want to give us a call. Our numbers are on the website.
And I would just also direct you to the executive summary that was, that's on the website where they discuss some of those issues, but also happy to discuss it. But they do discuss other cities and other charters.
Hi, just a fact check on one thing that you said. There has not, we can confirm for you, there was not a comprehensive review of the entire charter by a formal body. That is accurate. There have been charter changes to the Pepper Pike Charter since it was adopted in '66. The last one, I believe, was by the city council. Well, I know it was within the last 14 years because I was there for it, and it was a charter change that occurred regarding zoning. Okay, so thank you. Anyone else?
Greg Swords, 31999 Pine Tree Road. Good morning. I'm a blue-collar worker and a union leader. I've spent my career showing up, doing the work, and standing up when something isn't right. A few years ago, I helped bring a union into the City of Solon Service Department because I was tired of seeing decisions made behind closed doors, without input, without clarity, and without respect for the people doing the work. And when I look at this charter repeal, I see the same pattern playing out here in Pepper Pike. Decisions made quietly, behind the scenes, and without honest explanation. Like many of you, I was told to just read the charter. So I did. But if I'd only read the charter, I would have missed a lot. Of course, their message is just read the charter because the contents are confusing, hard to follow, and you don't ever see the bigger picture. You don't see the rushed process, you don't see the last-minute edits, the broken promises, or the decisions made behind closed doors. Thankfully, our residents are a group of smart and engaged people. Folks had to connect the dots themselves, asking questions, sharing what they found, and digging through records and meetings just to figure out what was really going on. And here's what I learned beyond simply reading the charter. 1, town halls were promised and even labeled Town Hall Month last November, but they never happened. The Charter Commission was rushed, never held public debate, and didn't engage the community before finalizing its work. 2, council rushed this onto a May ballot, not to help residents, but to help themselves. Mr. Gentile admitted November would interfere with council campaigns and then canceled the town halls altogether. May 2024 turnout was just 24%, while the November general election was 78%. They picked a time when fewer people would vote. 3, council placed this on a ballot in late January, giving residents just 10 weeks to understand a full repeal and rewrite of the city's founding document. Most people didn't even know it was happening. And while we were scrambling to catch up, council was still making major edits just days before finalizing the charter. That's not how you earn trust, that's how you lose it. 4, even after all the public pushback, council refused to slow down. People sent letters, they asked questions, they came to meetings, and what did they get? Cut off mid-sentence, dismissed, or ignored. That's not leadership, that's damage control. 5, there is still not a real answer to the question, why now? Our city is thriving, services are strong, people are engaged, and yet we're being asked to rush through a complete repeal and rewrite of the city's foundation, with no clear explanation of what's broken or why this couldn't wait for a more thoughtful process. Because it's old isn't a reason, it's a distraction. When people ask why now and council can't give a straight answer, we have every right to be skeptical. These aren't rumors, they're facts, and just reading the charter wouldn't tell you any of them. People in this community had to ask questions, compare notes, dig through meetings and mailers, and explain it to each other because council wouldn't. So today I'm asking you to vote no on this charter repeal, not just because of what's in the document, but because of how it was brought to us. As a union leader, I've always believed in showing up, speaking out, and standing together when leadership stops listening to the people they're supposed to serve. That's what this movement is about. Let's send a clear message. Pepper Pike deserves better. Vote no.
Just on a high level, I think there were quite a number of factually incorrect statements, and I'm sure those weren't intentional, but probably you were provided bad information. I would encourage you to find the executive summary, which is hard to find on the website. We're continuing to work to see if we can have it moved to put it in a more prominent place, but for right now, I would encourage you to look at the Charter Review Commission's explanation for a lot of these things. Also, I would encourage you to reach out to members of council who would be happy to discuss these issues, kind of get down to the facts and not, hypotheses. So I think that would be a way to move forward. Thanks.
Does anyone else wish to comment?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Bruce Constant. Is it on?
It's on, I think. Just get a little closer, maybe.
Thank you. My name is Bruce Constant, and I'm a new resident here in Pepper Pike.
Can't hear you.
He's tall. Was taller. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm a new resident. Been here, just got about 3 years. And I'm guilty. I have not attended this meeting or any of the meetings about it, but I've been reading a little bit about it and so forth about it. Talked to a few neighbors who I don't know a lot of neighbors. I'd love to meet anybody or whatever about it. To know your neighbors is to know your neighborhood. With that being said, I guess my general understanding of this here and what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is that public information about such an issue as changing your charter, which affects every part of your governance. And the public deserves not an opportunity to have small meetings in consideration or committee or anything to go do the study, come back, and then make decisions to do it, and then it's gonna come to a ballot. And that's where we get the chance to exercise the decision. Obviously, with that type of input, you're gonna have people in your community are saying yes, no, right away with what you're driving. My understanding is now, is that you got a lot of people that's giving false information, not enough understanding and so forth. So those are considerations. I guess this, when I hear, and I've attended, God, through my whole career, a lot of town hall meetings, city council meetings and so forth or whatever. Town hall meetings and so forth. And I've been on your side, I've been on this side in terms of my position with those. One thing I do say is that right now what I'm hearing is that this is in a process very close to us. Well, if it's going to vote on May 6th, a decision is going to be made. This is in a process at this point that people have to get a dialogue with its public officials to get a good, open meeting that everybody hears. Not that I'll meet with you about this and we can discuss this in more detail. There's a lot of stuff in here that even discuss in public detail that you can do. That's gonna be a all-night meeting with me if it would be, because I don't understand a lot of it. The second thing is that I get very much concerned when I'm deferred to. I can't say this or I can't give too much information on it because the legal end of my job or my position structured me. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous. And what I'm concerned about is that's what I'm hearing. I think, no, we need to have an ability to have why. Mayor, I haven't met you or anything. Why? If you do have an opposition, that you can say, I'm against it because this is wrong for my people that elected me. This is right because here, my position is this. Every one of you that's elected by all of us who voted is saying that I read this and I understand it, but it's complicated. This is a big issue, regardless of what all of our neighbors, cities, or whatever is doing. It's Pepper Pike. Things are different here. What we want it to be as far as the future, yes, I'm include myself as we because, hell, I bought property here. I'm interested in the direction. I'm interested in a whole lot of issues that going forward, especially in our international and national
4 minutes.
I'm done. I think I've said another minute. I'll say this close. I'm interested in this climate that is a country that we're dealing with, that issues that are going to be affecting my grandkids who also live in this area, my family and so forth is coming forward. And I need to know that the governance has check and balances on each part of its governance. So that's not a closed room, I'll meet with you or whatever type of situation. That's a situation that more public meetings and understanding need to be brought forth in some kind of structure. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, sir, for the comments. And let me just clarify, because your comments did bring up an issue that I can't comment on. The reason that we are sitting here restricted, and I mentioned that the law director had advised it, just so that everyone's clear. If this town hall had occurred prior to the placement on the ballot, we could have had the exchange perhaps you wanted to have. But because it's on the ballot now, that is that it was voted on to be on the ballot in January. That is what is imposing this break on these council members being able to, and myself, being able to respond maybe more forthrightly to some of your questions or comments. So that is, just so you know, the reason why there is that governor on the expanse of any response we can give to you.
So, and just as a clarification, it's been a point of frustration, I think, for all of us. This is a different reading, a broader reading of that of that provision, I guess I would say, and this is not how we operated when we had the walkability vote, which was after it was put on the ballot. So it's been a real frustration for us, and getting information out, I think, is paramount. I personally am frustrated by that. Even like, as I mentioned, even the ability to find things on the website. So I think we have to continue to see if we can improve that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just want to explain that at the beginning of this process, we were told on council that we would have these town hall meetings prior to the council voting on what went on the ballot. We had an opportunity to do that in council, but 5 of my colleagues decided they didn't want that to happen. I was disappointed by that. I'm hoping that the next time we have a charter review, we can improve it. I hope, and I know my colleagues on council are sick and tired of hearing me talk about the National Civic League, but I think it's worthwhile to take a look at what that organization has studied in charter reviews in many, many cities around the country. There are a lot of good practices in there, and I think the city of Pepper Pike could benefit from many of those. But it's been the process that has frustrated me, and I think that's something to take into consideration. I think the commission, they worked very hard. They did good work, and I don't want to in any way say anything negative about that. But I think the process needed to be improved.
And just to clarify again, because I respectfully, that this was not the process we had during the walkability when nobody had any question about when our town halls were. It was after it was on the ballot. It was never a problem according to our law director. I know you never had any objection to that at that point. And we have aligned ourselves, and Mr. Gentile has confirmed that with the National Civic League. So that's.
Yes, sir. Yeah, up for it.
Good morning. Do you hear me okay? Am I working?
I don't know, Manny, it's gonna make a bad, it's gonna, it'll be fine.
Push it a little closer to him.
Testing one, okay? All right. My name is Burt Randall. I live at 3450 Lander Road. I've been in the city for 47 years. I don't think this is a complicated situation. Actually, my experience is this. I've been here 47 years. Everything, as far as I'm concerned, everything's been hunky-dory. I have no complaints about anything. Our rubbish is good, our police service is good, the streets are good, everything seems to work okay for me. I've been looking at this charter situation. It looks very complicated. There's a lot of changes that would be made, and I feel there would be a lot of unintended consequences. So I'm against it. I don't think it's broke. I don't think our present system is broke, our charter. And if it ain't broke, I don't think it needs to be fixed. It's a simple situation. To me, it looks like a simple decision. I'm going to vote no. Thank you. Thank you.
I was not going to speak, but it's, first of all,
What's your name?
your name? My name is David Sake. I'm on Gates Mills Boulevard. I'm really thoroughly disappointed in this forum. I understand the legality or supposed legality, but this seems to me that it's just been a forum for people to rally on one side or the other. It's not, I mean, I could have stayed home, watched cartoons. So that's number one. It's very disappointing. The other thing is, I know in my personal life, maybe if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I guess I shouldn't have looked at legal papers over the years and updated those. And I know I don't have anything that dates back to 1960 or 66, whenever this was formed. But it seems like it would be it's good practices to look at legal documents and update them when and where it's needed. I mean, my life has changed over the last 34 years that I've been in this city, and I know I've updated my own personal legal papers more than once. And I would think that it would be the same thing for the city. So it's just disappointing. It's very disappointing that we shouldn't know what you think and what you think and why. You know, not just the fact that you're against it and you're for it, whether that's reality or not. I'm just using that as an example. But I want to know why. And for me to take extra time to meet with you, that's all fine, but shouldn't be necessary. This is the reason I came here, was to find out more details coming from the people up there. And it seems to me that if it happened before on the walkability, it should be able to happen now, and whatever was looked up by the legality, I would assume that it would have been looked up before. So, this has just been a forum for people that are for it or against it. and as opposed to finding out more reasons, concrete reasons other than something put up on a piece of paper. So.
I agree with David. Why is the law director putting these restrictions to all of you?
Peggy, first, you're going to have to wait because other people say.
Okay.
We just respectfully ask you not to just call out
I
from the audience. Is there anyone else? Since Ms. Blakeslee's already been to the microphone, is there anyone else first? You've already been here.
I just don't understand. What's going on?
Good morning. My name is Vera Bartasavich, 29600 Shaker Boulevard. The Pepper Pike Council has shown time and again that their decisions are driven by personal power and internal agendas than by the will or input of the residents that are who they're supposed to represent. This proposed charter is not about progress, it's about control. The council states that this is about future governments in Pepper Pike, but truthfully, I'm concerned about today and the near future. I am not fear-mongering, as the council sometimes says. The facts speak for themselves. I attend many council meetings, more than I would want to. I know firsthand how this council ticks. I have two examples in the recent future that have affected residents that are really concerning. They're very small, but this is how the council works. The first one is, during a council meeting, our city council abstained from voting on a resident who has dedicated over 40 years on the planning commission, just because they didn't like the mayor's nomination. The majority of the council obviously coordinated their abstains in private, which goes against the sunshine laws that requires city business to be discussed in public. The council even refused to talk about the nominee that Mayor Bain brought to vote. This wasn't about qualifications, it was a political power move. Only after Mayor Bain's urging did one council member change their abstain vote so the resident could serve. This is sad and disrespectful to a resident that has given over 4 decades of his time. So my second example is the city council recently reversed a 5-year ordinance on digital signs after denying a request from the Garfield Memorial Church, a historical institution that has been in Pepper Pike since the 1800s. Despite this denial, the council changed the rules for existing signs at Landerwood Shopping Plaza, allowing stricter control over advertising display. Also, if the current Landerwood sign is destroyed again, which has happened already twice when a bus hit it, the new rules would severely limit its placement. This is really, really concerning, these small little things. These actions by this council make one thing clear. If this charter is passed, it will open the door to a level of government overreach, which we have not yet seen in Pepper Pike. This process for charter replacement has been rushed, as residents have attested to. The language is unclear, as in the red line that others have talked about today. And the power it grants, without a doubt, as described in my couple samples provided here, is overreaching. The only correct vote for issue 17 is no, and I advise everyone to vote no on issue 17. Thank you.
My response is not going to be regarding the charter, issue 17, anything like that. But I do feel like I need to respond. There were a couple statements made about council violating sunshine laws and some sort of power move related to an appointment. There was also statements about council, hypotheses, conspiracy theory, about the sign ordinance. I can assure everybody that all of these things were talked about in public meeting on multiple occasions. There was robust discussion, and this was part of the work of council. If anybody ever wants to discuss the sign ordinance, I know that's not really very interesting to most people, but I'm happy to discuss that here. I'm happy to discuss that on the phone. I'm happy to meet you, or you can come to one of our meetings, and I'm happy to talk about either that or our appointments. And I encourage you to reach out. But I just don't want to hear false things said about council, or allegations kind of leveled at council or really anybody without any sort of proof. It's just disheartening, and it's a sign of the times. But thanks.
I don't feel that when you are in council and everybody abstains at the same time, that is not a coincidence. There was discussion before. The only reason was because Mayor Bain brought Dr. James Taylor for nomination. That is totally clear. I mean, it is not that you, how can you say that although, and no one would discuss it. No one discussed it. You would not even give eye contact to the mayor, and he asked, he was leaning over, no discussion? This man gave 40 years of his life, and he's done a very good job. As a resident, I was appalled. And also the sign ordinance, I contacted the church and told them that I felt that they were disrespectful to the church that's been here since the 1800s. They have not, you have not given them a chance. That sign would not even, it's across the street from a bank. There's nothing that is a problem. So anyway, this bit about, that I'm giving conspiracy theories is totally wrong.
Thank you. Is anyone else wish to speak this morning?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mark Hennessey. I'm a 37-year resident of Pepper Pike. Let me begin with my conclusion. My conclusion is that I urge a no vote on the charter amendment because it reflects a flawed charter review process. It drastically reduces council power at the mayor's expense and potentially undermines the high level of services that we are now enjoying from the city of Pepper Pike. And just a word about the high level of services, with which I, as a resident, am delighted. I mean, the police and the fire department, they're doing a great job. They're keeping us safe. They're respectful. We got no lawsuits about them, thanks to the law director probably. All good there. The service department, wonderful. They're dependable. They pick up refuse. They plow the streets. All wonderful services. Admirable services. Probably better than any other communities in the area. The city is developing in an architecturally appropriate way. Financially, the city's in good shape. I mean, we have these reach out activities by the city that help to build community spirit within the city. I mean, we have Taste of Pepper Pike and movies, and all that is by itself small, but helps to build the community spirit, and that's all good. And so the way I look at it is, when it comes to charter amendments, resident satisfaction with Pepper Pike service is important, because it means that any proposed material changes in the charter have a high burden of persuasion, a very high burden of persuasion. They must convincingly demonstrate that the proposed changes that are being made do not present a significant risk of undermining the city services that we are now enjoying. And I don't think this proposed charter amendment overcomes that burden. It would drastically change the balance of power between the mayor and the council. It would reduce the mayor's authority while at the same time increasing council's authority. That should be no surprise, because council has pursued this project by setting up the charter review process, handpicking the members of the Charter Review Commission. Yeah, the mayor had 1 vote out of 8. And members of the council playing a prominent role in the discussions of the Charter Review Commission in direct violation of the Civic League Guide for Charter Review Commissions. With the realignment of the balance of power, the continuation of the high level of city services that we have come to expect would be uncertain and at risk under the proposed charter amendments. Let me give you 5 examples of why that's the case. 1, the proposed charter would reduce the mayor's crucial role at council meetings. He no longer would preside and therefore couldn't set the agenda. There would be a new position in charge, council president, elected by council, not by the voters, who would preside. Number 2, the proposed charter would authorize council to remove the mayor from office under removable cause, which is a definition which has some very vague standards, and some of them and could therefore be abused. Number 3, the proposed charter would authorize council to fire the lock director and the treasurer without the mayor's consent, but the mayor could not do that without the council's consent. That makes little sense. 4, the proposed charter would require consent of council for the mayor to appoint the heads of the fire, police, and service departments. All those departments are running perfectly now. I mean, as I see it from the standpoint of a resident receiving those services. And then the 5th, the amendment pertains to the City Planning Commission.
4 minutes.
Okay, I only have 1 minute left. Okay. This Planning Commission deals with matters like design, alteration, public structures, zoning ordinance appeals, that sort of thing. The proposed charter provides for a takeover of control of the City Planning Commission by council and removal of the mayor from that role. The Planning Commission, as far as I can see, seems to be working fine. The city is developing steadily and architecturally developed a way. With a proposed radical change in the commission, there's no assurance that it will continue to perform at that high level, and the basis, insufficient basis for recommending the change. So in sum, maybe 30 seconds remaining, the cumulative impact of these proposed changes is that the mayor's authority would be materially diminished, and so would his ability to manage the city affairs, with corresponding uncertainty regarding future Pepper Pike services to its residents. Thank you very much.
Do we need more speakers this morning?
I hope not to speak today, because I don't like public speaking at all. But my name's Stephanie Jarrett, and I live on Chatham Road, 2875 Chatham Road. And I was a member of the Charter Review Commission, which means, and for you folks who came here to get information, I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm not responsible for this process, but I'm so sorry. I wish I could take an hour and stand up here and tell you what the provisions truly say and why we decided on them. And if you don't like them, vote against them. That's why we vote. But I really wish you just had the factual information. We weren't responsible for the process. We applied to be on this position, on this commission. I applied because some people encouraged me to do so. I thought it would be a really good civic and intellectual exercise for a city that I really love and care about, and it was. I didn't know any. I only had met 2 other people out of the 9 people, and I met some really terrific people, and we worked really hard on it, and we made recommendations that we thought would be good for the city, and then they went to council. And beyond that, I mean, I just can't. The process is frustrating. You came to hear what it says, and you're not hearing it. And it's frustrating because it's true. I went to the walkability town halls, And there was so much information. The mayor and the law director describing, you know, how it would work and why it was a good thing. And it was already on the ballot then. And those were very informative, and the word everybody likes to use, robust. And now the law director gives the advice that because this is on the ballot, nobody can say anything. Nobody can give an opinion. Nobody can tell you what it's about without it being biased. It's just really frustrating. So just from that standpoint, I'm not responsible for that, but I apologize. For the gentleman who said everybody's telling you to read the charter, it's hard. It's hard to read that red line that was mailed to everyone. I would encourage you to read our report. You may not agree with everything in it, but at least really does explain, it's not that long, why we made the decisions we made. The report has been buried on the city website, but if you go to www.pepperpikecharter.com, it's readily available with one click. And so take a look at that. And if any, and I know everybody's saying, well, I don't want to have to go talk to somebody else, but if anybody has questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. Just a couple things that were said. I can't go through everything in 5 minutes, but someone said we didn't address conflicts of interest. We got input from the public, we didn't get a ton of input, but there were several that said, let's talk about conflicts of interest in the charter. The law director told us that's not appropriate. Conflicts of interest are covered by Ohio law, so it shouldn't be in the charter. So, you know, that was not incomplete. That was not something that we neglected to do. And if you read our report, it will say why we didn't include that in the charter. Let's see, President of Council. Folks, this is something that about 85% of the chartered cities in Cuyahoga County have a president of council. It's not some crazy thing. And yes, they are not, the person who becomes president of council is elected by us. We've elected them as a council person. We don't vote, we want this one to be the president of council. Council chooses their own president. That's just the way it's done everywhere. So, you know, we don't make that decision, but it's not an unusual thing to have a president of council. Council has told us they'd operate more efficiently, and they think that the meetings would run better because they could collaborate with the mayor on the agenda. And so, I don't know, to have a president of council run a council meeting, that seems logical to me. Separation of powers is
4 minutes.
You've got the legislative branch and the executive branch. So many other things. Gosh. On the removal of the law director and the finance director, our charter is silent on how they're removed. Several other charters we looked at had the law director and the finance director being removed the same way they are chosen, by the mayor's nomination and council's approval. So we thought that made some sense. A lot's been made saying you can remove the finance director and the law director without due process or without grounds for removal. Of course, they are employees. For you, those of you who have businesses, you don't need grounds for removal or a due process to dismiss an employee. And in reality, these provisions are never going to kick in. If there is a problem, if a mayor has a problem with the finance or the law director to whom they do still report, you're going to see a resignation. That there's no laundry aired and there's no legal risk. So thanks very much.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Don't start the clock yet, Tony. Scott, I'm going to move over to here if you want to readjust the camera on here. You don't have to. No, don't have to. Don't have to. Please respect my time. Don't need the camera over here. I'm just saying that if you want to. My name is Manny Naft. I'm a resident of Pepper Pike for 39 years. I'm a professional auditor in regards to my career at Hitachi. I wrote the quality manuals, and let me stop with that in regards to that I'm going to say to you right now is the big thing that just came out. You can't hear me, right? You can't hear council. You can't hear council because the mayor controls the website. What they're trying to say to you nicely is that you can't hear the data that they want to give you, okay? Because he totally, universally, it was discussed in the last council meeting, autocratically, he is the only one that controls that venue. So all the information that they want to give you, you can't hear. That's what's the problem. Okay, that's one of the problems on here. Okay, so all of the things that they wanted to say to you, okay, are controlled by one branch of government. Okay, and with that, let me get back on topic, and I'm going to ask. Hopefully, you people will grant it on here. We've got another hour on here. The first presentation, one of the residents came up and he spoke for like 15, 20 minutes, okay? I've been going to council meetings since 2019, every council meeting, either in person or remotely, okay? I've got the data here to answer the questions that you have posed. You can decide if you want to hear them, which was the function of this meeting, or you can decide, okay, and I commend the no vote side in regards to they finally got your attention to come to a council meeting, okay, to come to hear the information. Congratulations to you. Thank you very much, okay? The question is, do you want to spend the time and hear what the information is? One of the comments that was made, is that, okay, this is the vote. It was just said the vote was not fair in regards to. Here's the vote tally, specifically from the city's office, from Sheila. A lot of you don't know who Sheila is, but she's the clerk of council. And with that, these are the 9 people that are on there. Mayor Bain's number 1 vote was, each person was given 9 votes. And with that, so a person can get a total of 72 votes on here. Mayor Bain's number 1 person was Gary Hoffman. He gave 9 points to that person. The number 2 person that he had on here was Howard Bochnick. He gave 7 points to that person. The next person was Matt Vazella. He gave 6 points to that person. Okay, and then it goes down to Scott Bilski. He gave 5 points to that person. Okay, everybody could have gotten, if everybody gave everyone a 9, if the council and the mayor gave 9 people, the 9 votes on here, the max you can get was 72. Okay, so with that, the top person, Dagmar Fellows, got 40 votes. Okay, that's less than half.
4 minutes, Manny.
Okay, that's less than half. So the question is going to be in a minute is whether or not you want to hear the data. I can tell you that the question is look at objective evidence. Here's a 15-page report on the objective evidence that you're asking for today. Okay, you can give me a minute and I'll give you just a quick overview of what's happened and why it's happened and why this commission has recommended what they have. It's not that they worked hard, and it's not that they spent this time. They were a very talented commission. The person that was the head of the commission, he's done at least two other charter reviews. And with that, we have 3 lawyers on the commission, people from the school board and so forth on here. They did what you didn't have the time to do, and I understand it. Before I retired, I didn't have the time.
5 minutes.
Okay, so with that, you can ask, if you want to hear the data that you're asking for, I have it here, and I can show it to you, and present it, quickly for you, and just give me the same amount of time that was given to the other people. And I would say, vote yes, rely on the data that these people, yeah, thank you very much on there, Blake. Okay, so I can give you the data. Question is, do you want it? You want it?
No.
You don't want it?
Stop being disrespectful, Manny.
Okay, with that.
Time's up.
So you just heard the answer. They don't want the data.
Is there anybody who hasn't spoken who wants to speak? Sir, we need to have everybody, you can come up again later.
My name is Bruce Rinker. I'm at 30949 Pine Tree Road. I spoke at the first meeting, I didn't at the second, and I want to give you a little understanding of my background, but I'm going to be voting no, and there are two primary reasons. One, I think the process could have been handled much better than it was by council. And then second, while it's important to do upgrades, and I think there were a lot of points in this charter that one could characterize as being upgrades, some as meritorious, but there are also provisions in here that clearly shift from the executive branch to the legislative branch, powers to the council that it does not currently have. As for the process, there's been a lot of discussion about walkability and comparing this process with that. My recollection is that a few years ago, Mayor Bain came up with an approach for putting a trail in Gates Mills Boulevard. What did council do then? Council put on the brakes. Council was insistent that it get full and broad public input on that whole process. And ultimately, there were 4 different surveys, community-wide surveys. The 4th survey was a referendum vote, non-binding, but advisory to tell the council, we want it or we don't want it. It took all that time and that effort. And I think anyone can say, whatever their view about it, it was a process that required full civic engagement. This one, Mr. Gentile's alarm clock was set for May 6, 2025, at the very beginning of the process of charter review. Council legislated how the charter review process would be conducted, put a deadline for the commission, and the commission worked hard, steadily, to meet that deadline between the end of July to the middle of December. Council, in 3 successive meetings, moved the matter to the ballot. And that's a problem. That would have been the point. That was the pivot point where council, instead of pointing to the commission, could have said, all right, this is the draft. Now, residents, take a look at it. Let's get together. Let's figure it all out. There was never any outside consultant. This was hard work from people, but the specific provisions are many. It is almost impossible for anybody to understand those. I'm an attorney that I retired at the beginning of the year. I worked for 30 years in municipal and governmental land use, planning, and zoning matters. I represented private clients and represented agencies and governments, both sides of the fence. I was a councilman in Mayfield Village for 5 years, 2 as a president, and I was mayor for 23 years. And I'm currently one of the commissioners on the Cleveland Metro Parks. I look at all of these details and they give me pause. As I said, I think a number of these are meritorious, but they're worth having everybody understand them before having to vote upon them. The biggest problem I have deals with Article 5. That's the administration. That's the executive branch of this government. Council currently does not have the powers that this charter will give it. It can fire the law director, fire the finance director without cause. That should be the mayor's job, the chief executive, not 7 council people getting together without the mayor's involvement in making that decision. They have the right to define every single individual job in the administration. And finally, they remove the mayor from the Planning Commission, which is an integral executive function. And there's no rationale given, other than what we see in the minutes, an evident mistrust of this mayor and a desire to have council be more objective than it believes the mayor can be for an administrative position. Time out, vote no, and let's start it over again. Some of these definitely deserve better discussion, and I think ultimately could be voted up. Some of these should not be. Please vote no. Let's try to do better.
Anybody else who hasn't spoken?
Wait to start the timer here. Until I get this free. Okay. Good morning. I have good news and bad news. The good news is I did not prepare a speech. The bad news is I did not prepare a speech. So let's see how this goes. I got one question first.
What is your name?
Oh, thank you. I do that every single time. Thank you so much. William Thompson, 30500 Providence. I got to start off with a question here. Where are the other 4 council members? I think this is kind of important. Probably should have been done when they could be here. Sidewalks. You probably know me from the sidewalk conversation. I remember that, in fact, sidewalks is what sucked me into the local politics here. I remember going to the third one and thinking, how come they're not speaking as we're talking? But then I remember, oh, what happened up front was the city engineer, that's who talked. The city engineer came up and gave a very clear presentation from the city engineer's perspective. So yes, there was input, but it was not from the mayor and it was not from council. They sat there and listened. Okay, I saw those town halls as us talking to each other. And I'm gonna say something else. Who knows what a sidewalk is? A lot of hands should be going up, okay? That's not really a complicated question, if you want them or not. You know what they are. Who's ever read the city charter prior to this? See a lot of hands probably down. You might have, but good for you. It's an extremely different situation, so it's really not fair to compare the sidewalks to, do you want sidewalks or not? A fairly simple proposition to, hey, I think we should change a math, how our city is run. Not the same thing at all. See, I'm not doing too bad. Council president. Yes, 85% of the cities have a council president, but number one, so, that does not mean it's better for Pepper Pike, and what the omission is too, a good number of them, guess who picks the council president? The city. You vote for that person. In a good number of those, I have yet to hear that mentioned. It's true. I also hear about the mayor picking people for the planning commission. Okay, I'll just say it. I wanted to vote for Jill Stein. Fine, like it or not, but I wanted to vote for Jill Stein. You know why I didn't? There's no way in God's green earth she's gonna win. Because I get 1 vote, so I have to pick from 2 people that I don't like. So I picked the person that was the most acceptable for what I wanted to do, because I was not going to get who I wanted. So think about that. When somebody has 1 vote out of 8, they're likely to pick the most accepted. Doesn't mean it's necessarily an endorsement, or maybe it was, but it does not necessarily mean that it was. How are we doing on time?
49 seconds.
Nice.
Minute and a half.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, minute 55.
Great, thank you. I'm doing all right. And in summation, I started talking to people door to door, and 30 people in a row, started talking about the charter issue. The first thing they said was, what? The issue to change the charter on the ballot. I heard something about a charter. Like, uh-oh. That's a major, major problem that I think we've spoken to a few times today, as far as people are just not even aware that the change to how our city is run is even up for debate and discussion. And then, oh my goodness, you get out this, I'm not a lawyer, I read the red line more times than I care to. Thank you. I'm just gonna echo Mr. Rinker's comments that way, way too much, way, way too fast Are there probably some things that could be corrected or fixed? Of course, but not like this. This is way too much, way too quickly. And you know what? The city is doing awesome. 93% property values in the last decade. They looked. National average is 50. We're doing really, really well. I kind of don't want to mess with that, how our city is run. So that's it. Thank you. Vote no.
Anyone else?
I threatened to sing last time. Let's see if I do it.
Anyone else who hasn't spoken?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's a bad idea.
I promise you all, this will not be 5 minutes. It's my birthday, and I have to go home to my grandkids and say, thank you. I'm 19 now. Plus, I'm gonna just say this. As I mentioned, I'm a new resident. And being a new resident and hoping and seeing, I moved here because, boy, Pepper Pike got a great reputation. Who wouldn't want to move to Pepper Pike? Who would not? Nationally and so forth. I said, boy, they're doing some things right over there, but I can't wait to move in, get my new home, do the things I'm going to do, the things, my future and so forth, whatever. I'm very, very pleased to be able to do that. Very pleased. And you got here because you're interested in being better, not just good, but being better. And that's what counts. I say my concern tonight, or right, it's not today. My concern right now is that, and I'm not turning my back on you because I do think these are public servants. And thank you, all of you. Thank you who serve on committees, who are appointed by council or acted by council people, whatever, to, hey, we need some help. We're serving on this board. It can't get done by just these people up here. And it can't be understood by just the attorney or by the mayor and so forth. What I'm hearing, though, what scares me is what I've been and seen before is everybody draws the line in the sand and we can't get past that. That stops trying to get not good, but be better. And what I'm seeing here right now, and I gotta go. And that's why I'm late, gonna be late, but I need to say, we're gonna do better than this. And I'm saying I think we have to. This line is drawn in the sand, yes or no today. And because of what we think is the right thing. And all of us got our opinions because we think we're doing the right things, not only for our families, but for the community and so forth. I think that's very important to stay in front of and do. But I think what we're hearing is that, man, we need to go back and put a framework in place of us in terms of how do we do this better to get to this stuck point, this yes, no, before we have to get to the yes, no this early in the game. And I think that's a very important thing. I think looking at it that, okay, hear us, both you hear them, they hear you. What do we do to get the yes, no thing understood better? And how do we do this going forward in terms of, even if we're gonna hire not a planner, but even a service worker? Is everything being done okay to the best of our interest to be better, not just good, and go forward? I leave here right now with, man, I hope we can come to some kind of format that can be developed and done, because you are good. Pepper Pike, great. Okay, and I look forward to staying here for a long, God let me stay here and do my part and so forth. So that's what I'm gonna say, and I apologize for having to leave and go out, but I got some grandkids and so forth, probably waiting to cut that cake, and I want to be able to cut my own cake. So thank you for having me, and let me speak again, thanks.
Happy birthday, sir. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
It's back to you before I break.
Anyone else?
First of all, I'm voting no for this. Gerard Bartasavich, 29600 Sugar Boulevard. I'm voting no for this. But one of my really issues tonight is, or this morning is, where are 4 council members? This is an important issue with our city of Pepper Pike. Where are they? Why aren't they here? This is wrong. When council members say, oh, you can communicate with us anytime, when residents are telling us now that when they send emails, they don't respond. So I'm disappointed in that. When Ms. Jarrett, I totally understand your frustration. I really do. I know there was all your committee members put a lot of effort in this. And when we went to city council, we were told that there was going to be 9 commission members. We sat there in the audience of a city, or in the Pepper Pike council meeting, and all of a sudden 3 more show up. It was a council. We were never informed, or never informed that the 3 council members were going to be included in the conversation. We heard so many times where there are intelligent people on the commission. Well, if they were intelligent people, wouldn't they say, we got this, we could handle this on our own? I'm very disappointed in that. My wife and I started the Political Action Committee for Sidewalks, and obviously we've been very successful. And what was interesting is the timing. Council members were not for sidewalks. They would not take a sign. They would not say we're for sidewalks. Some of their family members even had no signs on their front yards. And then they come back and say, we voted for sidewalks. Really? You voted for sidewalks? My God, you had 3 surveys and a vote. Now, who wouldn't vote for it? That would be suicide. So I'm advising all of you, this is rushed. We were hoping that the commission would come and give a report at a council meeting. We were hoping that you would give a report, like most committees, so we can hear what's going on. We were very disappointed that the commission was shut down. Why? What's the rush? We were very disappointed when we requested letters. The letters aren't available anymore. Why are the letters no longer available anymore? I've asked the president or the committee chairman. I've asked the secretary for the letters. The chairman says we don't have them anymore. I haven't heard back from the secretary. So, and then I was really surprised to hear that the commission didn't know anything about this letter. The letter that the Vote No people for sidewalks submitted to council in November of '23, because they were so upset with the yes vote for sidewalks. They wanted a charter review. Very interesting. I couldn't believe that some of the Charter Review Commission members weren't even aware of this letter. Council keeps talking about transparency. Why don't they put this information on the website so everyone can see? As a committee member for Vote No, as some of your other committee members, we're putting up the sign. We're going
4 minutes.
People were confused. People were very confused. In the Charter Review Commission notes, it said that there was going to be town halls early in the fall. Why did that not happen? Why are we having town halls now? This is totally ridiculous. It's already up for a vote. We've talked to a lot of the residents in the community of Pepper Pike. Most of the former council members, the majority of the council members are against this change. They're all listed on here. Some of them said they were voting no for it, and but they didn't want to be listed and they didn't want to sign. Former Mayor Bruce Akers was talked to about this. He's voting no. So this is a very poor process, and it's a poor piece of legislation. So I recommend everyone vote no for this charter repeal. And if you want any documents or any information that I was able to find, you're welcome to come and see me, and I'll give you all that I have. Thank you very much. I found the phone up here.
My phone's gone. I'm 30 seconds. Literally grabbing my phone. Like, where's my phone?
Hi, Fred Wentz, Pepper Pike resident. I just wanted to address, conflict of interest thing. I don't think we actually disagree, but we only have 5 minutes. I can't get my whole. Yes, I agree with what you said. I saw in the meeting minutes where the law director said conflict of interest handled by Ohio Revised Code or wherever that is, I forget which number it is, that's fine. And I don't think we disagree on that, I mean, it's important. But a charter can provide more restriction than Ohio law, does, you can restrict things more. And so my position, which is not law, is no, Ohio law allows conflict of interest, and there's rules about recusing yourself, disclosing it, yada, yada, yada. But in Teeny Town, USA, I'm sorry, I say that with affection. I love being in Teeny Town, USA and having a teeny weeny city council. Sorry, so if it came out. But I would be a little bit more restrictive and say, if I don't want any conflict of interest, which is beyond the scope of this discussion. I just want to be clear that within 5 minutes I couldn't get that out. So I agree with what you said. I just would want that in. And that would be a discussion we would have. Back to my original point, see how I worked that around, is I think we didn't finish it. Not we. Yeah, we did. Anyway, that's all. Thanks.
There's no way this fits in. Oh, it does.
Anyone else?
Very interesting, some of the things that Mr. Bartasavich just said. The Charter Commission could have handled this on their own. This is, in the last meeting, there was a person that came up, spoke very well for the say no position, and she said FUD. Never heard of FUD. FUD means fear, uncertainty, doubt. Okay, that's what they're casting on here. He just said, okay, they could have handled this on their own. Can you imagine if they didn't ask the council people what they felt? Can you imagine if they didn't ask the residents what they felt? Okay, can you imagine that in regards to handle this on their own? Okay, I attended 16 of the 17 meetings on here. You're not going to get a finer group of people, and I'm going to stop talking about the finer group of people. I'm going to talk about the chairman of the committee is the law director in Twinsburg, okay? You've got 3 other lawyers on here. We spent thousands upon thousands of dollars to have our legal director, our law director, there at the meetings on here. All of these people got the information that this committee asked for, okay? One of the people so to say, again, this FUD item, that the no thing is saying, they could handle this on their own. They wanted the input from you folks. They want the input from council. They're living on it every day, okay? And with that, this committee went over, let's see, the president of council, 10, 20, 30, 40 sometimes they went back and they discussed that 40 times. The planning commission, they discussed that 20 times. They went back over that. Keeping it simple, they did their job. They did their job adequately. You're never going to get a more qualified, again, the guy that was the chairman of the committee, he's the law director. He's done this 3 times for other communities, 3 or 4 times. Don't quote me on the exact number on it. 3 times? 3 times for other communities on here. You're never going to get a more thorough review of what's the problem, is. And right now, Mr. Thompson, who speaks extremely well, and thank you for coming to council meetings, on here and bringing up the points. And again, my first comment was, thank you for getting people to show up. There's a person, her name is Luann Graham. She came to council meetings for years. She was the only person there for like 20 years. Council was saying, there's nobody there. So finally, we've got people that are listening. So please listen, okay, to what's, being said. Mr. Thompson said, and this is an item that he gave to the commission. Let's be honest. There are problems between the mayor and the council. It's not hard to see, okay? And with that, they looked at that, and they looked at the other inputs that people gave, and they came to their conclusions, okay? And they came to their conclusions. And with that, trust them, okay? We all laugh about social media and the toxic environment that's in and the misrepresentation. Trust, them on here. They talked about, the sidewalks on here. The first, again, this FUD item of fear and things like that. Council approved the sidewalks. First meeting that was presented, okay, on there. The mayor said, I'm not, okay, and that was February 17th, okay. Mayor said, I'm quoting from the minutes, and this is what was presented to the commission.
4 minutes.
Thank you very much. The mayor said, I'm not fond of surveys. We get the input from residents in hearings on here. Bob Free said, I'm not voting for this unless I get a public survey. The reason why he got 3 public surveys is because the mayor issued his own survey. He didn't consult with council, okay? And they had to go back 3 times to get it. And the last major item then on the sidewalks, you have Jackie Godig, who's a council person that's mainly a sidewalk person, who said, I really appreciate sidewalks and so forth on here. And she's told them on their website, get off of the sidewalks already. This is not about sidewalks. They choose not to listen to that advice, on here. So the item is, the last point, there's so much more data that I can give you on here, but the last point is, council could have voted down sidewalks.
5 minutes, Manny.
They could have voted down sidewalks. They could have done it in council with 4 votes and killed it. They did what you want to do of your representatives. They put aside what their individual items were, and they put it on the ballot.
5 minutes, Manny.
And with that, they could have killed it if they wanted to kill it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
No one else has testified.
Not seeing anyone?
Wait a second. There's
So
still
you're
time.
done?
There's still time.
You don't get to.
Why not? The meeting goes to,
Oh, please.
Wait, no. Okay, you talked twice, Manny, I think.
The only thing,
I'm still not up to Rinker's time.
the only thing I have to say is, it seems that sitting here today, listening to all this, and I appreciate all your great information, why you want to vote no, I understand it. And I understand Manny's done a lot of research. I'm not sure now. I'm going to have to go over what Manny has put together and what you have all put together. I appreciate all that. I appreciate all your attendance at the council meetings. Right now, from what I can tell about this today at this town hall, is there a conflict between the mayor, the law director, and the council, and I don't like that. I don't like a conflict. I've loved living in Pepper Pike for 55 years. I agree with everyone. Everything here is run very well. I just don't like this conflict. I don't like this division between our residents right now. I don't like any of this. I just wish it would stop. And I just don't know whether it's the law director making wrong decisions or something's happening at the top. And I just wish it would stop. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Blakeslee. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Grace Barber, 33,000 Shaker Boulevard. I'd like to access my time to Manny. I'd like to give my time to Manny, my 5 minutes.
No. That's not how it works.
Why?
Respectfully, Mr. Naft has spoken twice, and.
Respectfully, at the first meeting,
just
at the
not the
first town
program.
hall, the no side spoke at length for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. It's unfair that only certain voices are heard in our community via social media or at council meetings, and that's the only people that get to speak. I am not a public speaker, and I would like to give my time to Manny.
No, that's not
What do you do? With all due respect, Grace, I think.
Okay, I will respect it, but
We-
it's unfortunate that
we
certain
did-
voices are shut
Yeah,
down typically.
we did limit it, and Manny has had 10 minutes, and, he's volunteered to give this information to anybody who wants it offline, and I think that's good enough.
I'd like to also say the diversionary tactics are dividing this city, and it is disappointing. Thank you.
You want to?
Not seeing any new voices.
Get your sheet.
I think we will make it a wrap. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance at this meeting, at the prior meetings, if you made it to those. This is coming up as an exercise in democracy, and that's a good thing. So thank you very much, and we'll see you around town. Bye.